I got 4 kids. What do you want me to do? You want me to leave everyone by themselves?
Exactly. That's what I told them.
It's after Kim.
You'll be lucky if Ernie comes.
You know, Icky, for your wedding, I left 1 kid behind.
Yeah, but your wife didn't come to my wedding either.
I don't want to talk about
No, because I had a newborn.
Did you?
I don't want to talk about your wedding, Icky. Sviako gets the early flight out. We're all stuck in the airport.
Excuse me.
That's why you don't want to talk about the wedding?
That's the one I want to mention right now.
No, Sviako got the worst.
I got the late flight. What
do you mean? I remember sitting on the floor in the airport and you whiz by and get on the flight. And we're like, we should be on.
No. The other Rebbeim, the Rabbi Yeager and Rabbi Kurland and Rabbi, they got on. I was stuck with all you drunk people on the next flight.
I think we all looked at that flight. We're like, oh, let's go on that one. It won't go.
We had nothing else. We had nothing else to do. We were delayed for like 3 hours.
Well, that whole time started out drinking. All right, good times. Can you have another wedding, Nikki? It's good times. No, not to a new life.
Now, Tali,
I have your vows.
I have a sneaking suspicion you're going to be drinking by Yodi's wedding. I'm not worried.
Listen, I broke 2 ribs at your wedding. That mechanical bull did not agree with me.
That's what you served at the wedding, ribs? And you had 2 of them?
You know how hard it is to stand a mechanical bull when you're drunk?
You tried standing. You can't even
sit straight. Now, I need to clarify. The mechanical bull was not at my wedding. Whatever you did before or after my wedding, I don't know about.
That wasn't the smorg?
I still might have video of that, so I can tell you if it's at the sport or not.
But you guys actually managed to go to someone else's bachelor party?
Yes.
What? You silenced them all. Gershon.
Sworn to secrecy.
There you go. All right, let's go. We ready?
Yeah.
We got. What did we get? Oh, we were in the middle of a Gemara, right? Okay, we ready? We got enough people on. Okay. What are we up to? 2, 4, 6. Parrots, you on there? Can you shut the beep when somebody comes on and off? Is he there?
But you have a beep when someone comes on and off?
It shouldn't be beep if everybody's
mine doesn't beep.
Mine beeps.
That might be on that's your settings.
Could be. No, I don't know. No, he knows.
Oh, because you're recording. You're the host, no?
No, it's
Parrots.
Parrots.
Parrots the host.
No, tystein.com is the host right now. Parrots is not on.
Oh, so that's what it is. So I gotta figure out a way to shut that down.
I don't know if you can because you're the host is supposed to know when somebody comes in.
You gotta make someone else the host somehow. That might not be a great idea though.
I'm looking now. Oh, here. No, I shut it off. I shut off on mine. Okay, thanks. Okay, so anyway, so we were learning last night, the whole Amud Beis was that Rabbi Yehuda normally holds that you'd be able, if you have kachim that became, you had some kachim, and then you lost it, and then you found it. So now you have 2 sets of kachim. So Rabbi Yehuda really holds that you can push it off till the next year. Except by Yom Kippur, you can't. If you lose the goat or the par of Yom Kippur, and then you set aside 2 new ones, and then you find the original ones, so then you have a problem. Yeah. So we tried to come up with 4 different terutzim, 4 terutzim that we kept slugging up, and the last teretz that we left over yesterday was that we're afraid of takala. We're afraid that you can end up using that animal. If you leave him from one Yom Kippur to the next, you can end up using the animal by mistake, and then you're going to be over. Yeah, so that's what we said. Gzeira mishum takala. Elo marava gzeira mishum takala. Yeah, the Tanya, because we learned in the Brisa. Yeah, see it. What do we say? 7 lines down. Ein makdishin, bein marichin, bein machrimin. This man is we don't do hektish, right? You don't make anything hektish, and you don't put anything in chayrim. That doesn't mean to put somebody in chayrim. right? For wearing a lace wig, David. We'll start right off the bat with it. Right? We don't put right, so we don't put anybody into cherem nowadays. That's not what the cherem
get it out of the way so we don't have to worry about
it. Correct. Right? So and no cherem. Now cherem means it's just another way of donating things to the Beis Hamikdash. Yeah, I mean he says like this thing, my car is in cherem. Meaning I'm donating it to the Beis Hamikdash. They'll figure out how much the car is worth, and they donate it to the Beis Hamikdash. And then
one of the Lashonis in Kol Nidre.
Correct. Correct. Right. And Erchin, which is not one in Kol Nidre, right? So Erchin is the amount that a person is worth. Whatever it is, we don't do any of that nowadays. Let's say you did do it, right? You were a brilliant person and you did this. Bim hikdish v'herech v'hichrim. If you did any one of these three, so behemati akar. The animal gets uprooted, which we'll see what that means. Peiros, meaning if you did this to an animal, you have to uproot it. Peiros ksus v'kelim yirkavu. If it's fruit or clothing or utensils, then you have to let it rot away. Mois uklimatches, metal and money. You have to take the hana of it and put it into the Yam HaMelech. Right? Meaning you can take the money. Let's say you want those coins, so you take it and put it onto a bunch of old pennies, and then you take those pennies, the equivalent, and throw it into the Yam HaMelech, which will destroy it. Ve'ezahu iker, and what is ve'ezahu iker? What does it mean to be iker? So noyel delos lefanev he meisa. So what it is you lock the door in front of it. Right? We discussed this. Why this is not tzar balichayim, baltashchis, all of the above. Anyways, you lock the door in front of it, he makes a mela and it dies by itself. So you starve it to death. So that's what you have to do. Yeah. So what do you see from this? Right. That means if somebody, why do you have to let these things die? Why can't you leave them alive? The answer is because we're afraid that if you're going to leave them alive, somebody's going to be using them, and they belong to the Beis Hamikdash. So the person's going to be over an avera. So you see that we're always worried about leaving animals around that are from hektish. So Gemara says, takala demai. What kind of takala are we worried about? Itakala dehakrava. If we're afraid that the guy is going to be makravit, meaning somebody's going to take the animals for Yom Kippur and be makravit before Yom Kippur, right? Let's say on a random day he's going to be makravit. So afilu kol rayas nami. Then anytime you have a case go ahead.
If we have somebody drops his esrog, the piton breaks off. So he has to throw it in the garbage right away because maybe somebody will come to use it. The shofar has a hole in it. You have to throw it in the garbage.
Oh, but there you can see it that it's puzzle. No, I mean,
why? Maybe it was. Most people, a lot of people now have a circum. They don't have pitons lechatchila.
Oh, you mean I hear. Why don't you have to be worried? There is such a concept.
Don't you have to own that? The esrog has to be yours. I mean,
not after only the first day.
Isn't it kosher without a pit?
That's coming up. That's coming up next Masechta coming up as is a show. All right, but no, only the first day. So after the other day, no, there is such a thing.
Mutter. The Erichin and the Hektish will never be.
Oh, the truth is, you're right. You mean after the first day, the pitum falls over. It's also mutter.
Yeah.
That's why I said you have to throw it away the first day.
Oh, the first day, but then the first day
right away. Right away.
No, but it doesn't make a difference.
I can't save it for the second because maybe somebody will use it. Maybe my son will pick it up and use it.
On the second, yeah, but on the first day, he needs your permission. He needs you to be maknet to him, like David said.
Needs your permission. I don't know. Your son needs your permission.
No, Rabbi, not your son. You aid him. He don't need permission.
We're talking about real life here. Your son doesn't pick up your esrog and use it.
Lachem.
Not my sons. My sons think my esrog is puzzle.
Oh, good, fine.
No, I don't know. There are cases. I'm trying to think. There are cases. What do you say?
Byron, if you would have bought your son an esrog and a lulav, you wouldn't have the problem.
Well, we didn't. We did for many years. We did until one rich guy spoiled one rich guy in yeshiva. A whole bunch of us. We never bought. 5, 7, 8 years. We never bought. No. Anyway, so if when your father forgot the hole, did he have to throw it in the garbage right away?
And a konami. I hear there are cases of chashash mitchell. I just can't. I'm not remembering now what they are. Sometimes we are concerned for it. But in your case, I'm not sure.
I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I hear.
Rabbi, why is it stop there? It's Eila Davar Seif, a Sefer Torah that has puzzle. You should throw it out.
Because the Gemara says this then now.
I'm saying.
No, he's agreeing with you.
Rabbi, I'm agreeing with you.
I know.
I'm agreeing with you.
Have a rabbi. The Gemara says
different Torah. They're very macro. They wrap it. They wrap it on the outside so that people thought that it's possible.
They put a simon on it. You mean?
Yeah, you have to put a simon on it.
So why don't you put a tattoo on this animal? What do you have to like put the guy in a cage and drop dead?
We can brand it. We can brand it.
On him, brand him. And say, I am tamei. No.
And I hear.
Is that what Rabbi Yomi Cohen holds it to do with the lace shapeless?
We already did the lace shapel thing tonight.
I have to. I'm sorry.
He's talking about Rabbi Yomi Cohen's from Thursday night.
Instead of putting an A on the lady's head, you put an L on their head. Put an A instead of the A. Put an L.
Yeah.
What is the A or the L? L.
I'm sorry. I thought I was talking to somebody intelligent. If you don't know what either one means, I'm sorry.
It's high school. It's high school reading.
Okay. He went to high school in a different country, I think. So.
Oh boy, it's getting feisty over here.
I do have to say though, a guy came over to me to say, "How can you fight all these rabbis on the lace shetels?" And
Rabbi Yomi Cohen, if you listen to it, he went for from a Moshe also.
He didn't say, yeah, okay, whatever it is. He says, "How are you fighting all these rabbis?" I listed them off a whole many rabbis who say it's perfectly fine. And then I said, this is the same old guys that have been harassing the women for 30 years about the tznius, the da-da-da-da-da. After that, I had such a bout of coughing, my throat still hurts from it. So I don't know. So I don't know if I said the wrong thing.
I don't think you don't believe in those things. So
well, I know, but maybe I'm starting to believe. I don't know. Anyways, okay, let's go back to. So the takala, so we're afraid for takala. So Gemara says, what kind of takala? What are we worried about? You're going to take the goat and the par and be makravit during the year as a carbon? So if that's the case, then anytime you put an animal out to pasture, right? We said yesterday, sometimes you put the animal out to pasture, sometimes you have to let it die, right? A bechor, right? The bechor, so you wait till it gets a mum. How can you do that? Maybe someone's going to be makravit.
On the Tzar Balachayim issues?
We don't know. We don't know. We're not sure about it. I don't know. I mean, we don't have a clear pshat on why that you don't have to feed it. Why not keep it locked up and feed it, right?
But the whole thing, Lazazel, that when you throw off a cliff is also a big shiloh on that.
No, but that's all. Any shchita. Neko, now you're getting into the PETA stuff.
Yeah.
I was making sure Amara was listening. Go ahead, keep going.
But that's really the point. Whenever it's mitzvah bekat, there's no problem with tzar balei.
No, but here it's not mitzvah. Here we're afraid you're going to use the animal, right? So we say you got to let it die.
Because I'll say this is the only option.
Why is it the only option? I'll put it into solitary confinement. I'll feed it.
Solitary confinement's not truly solitary. You have contact with it.
Or I'll open a little door and I'll drop in food for it to eat. Unless you say that's a worse Sabbath. Maybe that's a worse Sabbath.
That's something.
That's what. And everybody's going to do that? Anytime an animal gets tamei or gets a thing?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm saying, is that a realistic thing that everyone's going to?
I don't know how often you get. I don't know how often we get it. Most of the time, we say that you should let it out graze. Most of the time, the halacha is not, the psak is not to let it die. Right? That's only in certain fachatas.
Most of the time, it's not a complete isser hana. When there's a complete isser hana, you have a problem.
Correct.
You can't kill it. You can't grate. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see weiter. So, but whatever it is, so again, takola demai, itakola dakrava, filu kol rayas nami. Anytime you put it out to graze, and itakola de giza v'avoda, and if we're just worried that maybe you're going to come, give it a haircut, shear it, how do you call it, and avoid and use it for work, afilu kol rayas nami, then the same thing. Then anytime you graze, leave an animal out to graze, why are you not worried that you're going to end up using it? So Gemara says, really we're worried that you're going to be makar of these animals during the year. But the animals that are not meant to be brought, right? Meaning when you put it out to graze, there's no chance that you're putting it out to graze because you know that you're not bringing it as a carbon. So you're not going to be tarid and end up bringing it by mistake. But these animals of Yom Kippur, which are being kept for the entire year, so you could bring it the next Yom Kippur, then tarid bet. Then you might be tarid with it and say, oh, let me just bring these korbanos. We're going to be marking them anyways. I'll be marking them now, and you get confused. Yeah, so that's why we're more concerned for takala with the animals for Yom Kippur and not the other ones. For takala atzma tanoi, and what it says in takala itself isn't whether we're worried that somebody's going to end up using these animals. Isn't machlokes tanaim. The Tanya Chada, because we learned the one brayz of Pesach shaloi karav berishan, the Pesach that wasn't brought on Pesach and the Pesach that was in Nisan, yikrav b'sheni. So bring it on Pesach sheni. B'sheni yikrav l'shana haba. And if you didn't bring it on Pesach sheni, then keep it for the next year. But Tanya Idach, we have another brayz, lo yikrav. Don't wait for the next year. So what's the machlokes? How come one says you can leave it over from Pesach sheni till the next year Pesach, and one says not? Must be having a machlokes about takala, whether we're afraid that somebody's going to end up using it. So when it says like the kuliyama, no, there's no machlokes. The kuliyama loichashin takala. In that case, everybody is not choshev with takala. But you have a different issue, which is the issue we saw yesterday. They're having a machlokes and Rabbi Rabbanan. Whether you look at a year, right? Because an animal that's more than a year old, you can't bring for the Korban Pesach. So what do you mean you're leaving it for Pesach Sheni for the next year? How can you? It's going to already be in the second year. So that's totally in the machlokes Rabbi Narana, right? Rabbi said that we go with the lunar year, right? And the Rabbanon say that you go with the solar, right? So that's what the machlokes is, whether we're afraid that it's going to be for a year or not. But like Kasha, Harebi, Harabanan, one brayz says Rabbi and one brayz says the Rabbanon, and that's what having a machlokes is, whether you're allowed to save the sheep from one year to the next. But that's the Gemara says Vatani, but we learned the brayz of V'chein hamois. The same thing with money. If you set aside money for the Korban Pesach, and for some reason you didn't use it, right? Once you set aside the money for Korban Pesach, you're stuck using that money for Korban Pesach, which is, by the way, agav, with any tzedakah, right? You see a collector coming across the Beis Hamikdash is one of the big issues. You see a collector coming across the Beis Hamikdash, and you say you're giving him $1, and then the guy walks out the other door. You're stuck giving that $1 to that guy. What are you going to do if he leaves? It's a problem. That's why you're supposed to put in your head that it's always beli neder until it's actually in the guy's hands, so you don't have this issue. But whatever it is, so the same thing with money for the Korban Pesach. So you put it aside, so you keep the money for the next year. There's no chashash of money being a year old to use for a korban. An animal is an issue. Money can be years old to use it for the korban. So how can you say the machlokes Rebbe and the Rabbanon about a year old, whether you're allowed to save the money? No, but takala pligi. It must be that having machlokes is takala, shmami no, and that's what the maskana is that there is a machlokes whether we even choshev for takala or not. Okay, Zok the Mishna. This is almost a repeat of a previous Mishnah about 20 blot ago. Right, so then the next thing the Kohen does is he comes to the seir that's going to be going out off the cliff. The Saimach Shtei Yadav Alav, and he puts his hands, he leans his two hands on it, and he says Vidui, V'kacha Yoima, right, from the Yom Kippur davening. Ona Hashem Chatu, right, this is in Lashon Rabbim, because how he's doing it for Gans Klal Yisrael. Chatu Avu Pashu Lefenecha Amcha Beis Yisrael, right, Klal Yisrael, Ona Hashem, right, please Hashem, Kaperno Lechatoim V'Lavonos L'Havshem Shechatu V'Sha'ov V'Shapashu Lefenecha Amcha Beis Yisrael, Kakosa V'Saras Moshe Avdecha. Right, it says in the Torah, "Leimor kivayam ezeh yichaber alechem l'taras mikol chatoisechem l'fnei Hashem titaru." Yeah, v'hakoyanim v'am ha'im the ba'azara, and the koyanim and everybody that was standing in the azara, shayishayim shem ha'mefarish, when they heard the shem ha'mefarish, which was the real way to pronounce it, right? The yud kevav, okay? Shu yotzim epi koyin gadol, when it came out of the koyin gadol's mouth, ha'yukarim mishtachavim, they would bow down, v'noiflim al pneihem. Fall on
it never
face.
Says when he says Hashem's name. When does he say Hashem's name?
What? When he does the vidui.
When?
Ana Hashem.
No, in the pasuk.
What pasuk? It doesn't say Hashem's name.
Yeah,
Hashem.
And then Hashem.
And well, anytime he said, truth is, anytime.
But it's not like Hashem's. He's saying it in.
No, we have to.
No, but it was that. It was that word. That Shem Hashem. He said the right way.
But every time, every Shem, Ana Hashem is every time he said it.
Every
Beis
time
Hamikdash, that was the way they said it.
And they said, Baruch Shem Kavod Unwell.
In the Beis Hamikdash, there was no such thing as Amen. In the Beis Hamikdash, there was no Amen. In the Beis Hamikdash, it was Baruch Shem Kavod Unwell instead of Amen.
Wow. That's
the way it goes. It went. But by the way, we already had the Gemara before that. They stopped saying Hashem's name after Rabbi Shmuel Kohen Gadol. Right, after Rabbi Shmuel Kohen Gadol was Nifta. Right, remember that story where he said he saw a black malach accompanying him out of and he said he knew he was going to die, and after that they stopped using Hashem Hashem. So I wonder, Taka, if they did this whole Baruch Shem. Okay, I don't know. Anyways, so that was the Vidui. Masru l'mishayu malichai, right? So he handed it over to the person who was going to bring the Azazel out to the cliffs, and then he moved on to the next step. Then the Gemara, now from here the Gemara discusses the shliach. So hakol chen l'licha, everybody really is kosher to bring the goat out to the cliff. Elashasu kohanim gedolim keva, but the kohanim gedolim made a kviyas, made a like a rule. Yeah, and did not let the Yid know Yisrael. Right? Now, why they did that, I don't know, but they made it that the Kohanim should do it. Some of you, I see Maisa v'Halicha Arsala Yisrael Haya. There was once a story where Arsala did, and he was a Yid. Fine. The Kevesh Asu Loy Mipnei HaBavliim. They had to make a ramp for the fellow that was taking the goat out of the Beis Hamikdash. Until he got out of the city, he needed to have a ramp that went over all the streets. Why? Because of people from Bavel. Show you, misal shem b'saroi, right? They would pull the hair of the goat. Like tol v'tzei, take it and go, right? Meaning get out of here. So clearly, the Bavliim had some sort of emotional issues, right? Which we'll see on Amud Beis. And they were just out of control, so they had to make a ramp.
They called them Tipshim before. We had it that they called them Tipshim.
Bavliim Tipshim, very good, Taka. But we're going to see on Amud Beis that it wasn't really the Bavliim, which was interesting. But it's you think they could put up cops and put up gates. No, they made a ramp instead. Right? It's interesting. Must have been a lot of Bavliim there.
This is to get around Isser Malacha on Yom Kippur. Is Metal Shem B'Sarai?
You mean like, what do we care?
I mean, what exactly was the reason? We were scared for his safety, or because they were Tailish L'Sar? That's Giza.
Maybe to get there right away. Maybe to rush him out.
Brings a Piskei Rid that says that they used to pull the hair out, and they were over on pulling hair out on
that's what I understood. Being over on a malacha. Yeah.
So to save the people, this is how far they went. To save the people who didn't care about Isser Malacha on Yom Kippur from doing
I think
malacha,
that they were emotionally. I think they emotionally were not thinking straight. L'chayra, they were emotionally not thinking straight. So which I guess
I think they were trying to get him out. They were trying to get going.
They were pulling the guys here or the goats here.
Not the guy.
The goat.
The goats. I originally also thought about it. I thought also it was first thing they would pull their own hair out. But it sounds they pulled out the Sa'ar Roy, right?
The own hair is no kun.
His hair. Because making the making a ramp wouldn't stop them from pulling out their own hair.
So what's the last Rashi?
Rashi's mashma, it's the person's hair, not the goat.
Why?
That's what Rashi
It
says.
seems like they're going after the person, not the goat. And they're pushing the person to go.
Pushing the person to get the animal out.
The last Rashi.
Yes, the person's hair.
Oh, that's
Rashi's
hair. Get the animal out.
Yeah.
Yes, they pulled out the guy's hair, not the goat's hair. I'm sorry.
Right. So
I thought you meant they pulled out their. I thought the Olam was saying they pulled out their own hair.
No.
They pulled out.
They do bring down the Piskei Rid says they were pulling out the goat's hair.
Get him going.
It was over in Isser Malacha.
But to pull out,
Either way, it's Kaisers. Whether it's the goat or the.
I don't know if Rashi's literally saying that they actually pulled out his hair and they're over Malacha. Rashi, you could just be saying they drove him crazy.
It's the Mishna. The Mishna says Shayim Metal Shem B'Saroi.
I don't know if it literally means that. It could be they were driving him nuts.
That's a chiddush, Akiva. No.
Well,
Could be. It's nothing wrong being a
that.
chiddush.
I
Nothing
had
wrong
that
with making a
Havamina.
chiddush.
That's why I asked. Was it emotional or to save people who were going to be over a malacha from doing a malacha, save them from themselves?
I don't understand. I'm saying, what if it's such a rush to get the goat out of there? Why are you pulling on his hair? Push his hair, push him, not pull. No, I mean the whole thing doesn't
People
make
do
any
crazy
sense what they're doing.
things, right?
That's yeah.
And no
Okay.
bottleneck in traffic makes any sense either, because some guy decided to stop and look at a thing.
No, rubbernecking is at least yenterai. You're getting some hana, right? That's all.
Yeah, but it's the opposite. People are like, yeah, I've been held in traffic for an hour. At least let me look at it. What are you, crazy?
Right.
It's the same idea.
Yeah, I hear. Okay, whatever it is. So either it's his hair, the mishaleach's hair, or the hair of the goat, whichever. Originally, I thought they're pulling out their own hair, but that was clearly wrong, and that was clearly not. Okay.
Apparently, they were called mishulachim back then also. Rashi says mishulach.
Yeah, I hear. No pun intended.
Mishulach means the ones that were sent.
Right.
That's a chashuv thing. I'm saying, what does that mean? I'm not saying like I don't think it's stop. It means the one who
Mishulach is
sent.
a chashuv bad.
Again, we're still doing today what they did 1,000 years
it
ago.
just
We're
means
making
you sent, that's
shepherding
all.
mishulachim.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. The Zogding more. The ilu b'nei Aaron. It's reflecting one. What I asked. The ilu b'nei Aaron am kedeshecha loika omar. How come this vidui doesn't include the kohanim? Mantana. So who's the Tana that says that this last vidui doesn't include the kohanim? Some Rav Yirmiyah, the like Rav Yehuda. It's not like Rav Yehuda. Dik Rav Yehuda ha'amar. He says yeshlem kapara b'sir mishtaleach. He says that the kohanim do get kapara with the sir mishtaleach. It's not just meant for, right. This is a Machlokes a few blot ago. Whether who gets which kapara is for the kohanim, for the Yisraelim, right? So Memela, that's we're saying it's not like him. Abai Amar Afilu Tem Rav Yehuda could even be according to Rav Yehuda. Atu kohanim la b'chlal amcha Yisrael didu. Are kohanim not included in Klal Yisrael? Of course they're included in Klal Yisrael. Right, so therefore they're also part of it. Yeah, which I mean you hear that Taina. Why should they not be included as part of Klal Yisrael, the kohanim? Fine. Okay. So he hands it over to the guy that's going to be taking the goat out. So Tanrabanan. Ish. So the Gemara goes through a whole pasuk here. Ish. What's the word ish come to tell us? Lahachshir azar. That tells us that it's any man. So that means that, and even a azar means a stranger, but it means a Yisrael can take the animal out to the cliffs. Et. Right. So what is et? Right. What does that mean? Sheyehei mezuman. Right, that it should be ready. Meaning, Rashi says he should be prepared yesterday. You don't just decide to look for a guy. Like the Yekis give out before the Aliyahs, they give out your little card that you're getting Rishon, Sheni, Shlishi, right? So the same thing. Give out the card to the guy on Erev Yom Kippur who knows he's the guy instead of looking for him, before. And then another drush from E.T. What?
The Yeki thing?
Yeah. That's the ones who I've always seen it by. Anyways, et vafilu b'Shabbos. It means because ace means that the proper time. It means even on Shabbos. And et vafilu b'Tumah. I don't know what gives us right to darsen so many things out of one word, right? So we're saying et means that the guy should be prepared from the day before Yom Kippur. And then et also means that even on Shabbos you bring out the goat, which we'll see what that means exactly. And then et is afilu b'tumah. Even if he's tamei, he brings it out. So okay, so now the Gemara goes through all these drushes. Ish lahashir azar. Ish comes to tell you that a azar is kosher. Pshita, that's pashit. When it says ma'al, the same kapara ksibbe, you might think that it says that it's a kapara. Sending out the azar is a kapara, and therefore it should be a kohen because the kohanim, the kohen gadol, is the one that is involved with all the kaparas of Yom Kippur. Kamash Milan. That for the goat to send it out could be even a yid. Et vafilu b'Shabbos, even on Shabbos. What does that mean? Lamai hilchasa. That if the animal was sick, markiva yakseifa, he puts it on his shoulder, and he can actually carry the goat.
See Yaakov.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me, on Nun Aleph Amud Beis, we said the kohanim, all the kohanim are part of one family. So maybe they're not part of Klal Yisrael. Maybe they're just part of the family of kohanim.
And not included in Klal Yisrael.
Maybe.
Okay, maybe that's what the first shot.
Because it says Gabi Ochiv HaKahanim. It doesn't say Ochiv Klal Yisrael. It says Ochiv HaKahanim.
I hear. Maybe. I mean, that's l'chara what the first teretz is going with. Could be saying going like that. No, the second teretz is says that it's kahanim are included. So maybe the first teretz is not. Enochanami could be.
But Yaakov, leading an animal out on Shabbos, there's no Isser D'Rabbanan on that. Leading an animal.
Only. It's really only. It's only animals that you plow with. No.
You said other animals, so, but only if the rope that you're leading with comes with a tefach of ground.
No, that's you can push behind it. No?
Well, that was both ways.
Was it? I don't remember. I mean, well, either way, it's going to be. I mean, Akiva. Either way, it's going to be. It's going to push him off, right? I mean, whatever that. It's Daicha Shabbos.
Right. In a Hanami, I'm just saying, like the Gemara is saying, a scenario where you have to carry it. I'm just saying, no matter what, you're going to be over something.
Fair enough.
Just,
yeah.
you know.
So, yeah, I hear that. But
well, what was the halach of the ramp? The ramp they made not a Rosh Hashanah.
What do you mean? It's going to be above 10 tefachim.
So it's a makbur. So what carrying is he doing?
Yeah. No, this is after Yerushalayim. The ramp's not all the way to the ramp is only till out of Yerushalayim. After that, once he's in the midbar, they don't have a ramp. That will be some ramp.
So it's Tamei Rosh Hashanah anyway, Mederaisa. There's no Malach Deraisa there.
In the midbar. I hear that.
Yeah.
I hear. A good point. I hear. Okay, so let's see. What is it saying? Okay, he has to put it on his shoulders. So who's that like? Come on. Again, Rav Sheshes is saying that the pasuk's coming to tell you that he's allowed to carry the animal on his shoulders even when it's Yom Kippur falls out on Shabbos. So who's that like? The like Rav Nosson. The Rav Nosson, Amar Chai Noises Atzma. According to Rav Nosson, you wouldn't need a pasuk to tell you that it's mutter to carry the animal because an animal can carry itself. It's a Chai Noises Atzma, so therefore it's only the Rabbanon. Right? So that's what Gershon is saying. Anyways, it's the Rabbanon even without it in the midbar. Right? And Akiva is saying that you're over on it's a mechama. Okay. So
Rashi actually says, I'm worried about it.
So according to this, it looks like you're allowed to carry on Yom Kippur.
Oh, and why?
He says he's making a special thing that on Shabbos he could carry it on his back, which is not okay. Because it's Shabbos. Yom Kippur, you're not allowed to carry it anyway. It could be on Tuesday.
Oh, that's very good. That's going to be the Gemara's next kasha, or two kashas from now. Very good. Very good. So then, yeah, excellent. So as the Gemara says, "Afilu temer nasan chaloshani." If the animal's sick, it's different. Since the animal can't carry itself, right? Since the animal can't carry itself, so it is considered chai noises atzma. It's not chai noises atzma. It's you're carrying it because it would not be able to walk without you. So Amar Rafram. So Rafram says, "Zoysemeres." What this Gemara is telling you, this is Rabbana. This is how you're saying. Eruv v'yitzal Shabbos. There's such a thing as eruv and carrying for Shabbos. Ve'ein eruv v'yitzal Yom Kippur. Must be that there's no eruv, no laws, no halachas of eruv, and no halachas of Yom Kippur. Yeah, no Yom Kippur, no law. What do you call it? No laws of carrying, no halachas.
Well, why don't we say it's only for din for the azazel? Why are we assuming it applies to the whole Yom Kippur?
What, that it's only a heter for
the azazel? The same way. I mean, I'm not saying it's an avodah. What I'm saying is that the same way avodas are mutter on Yom Kippur, even though ba'etzim they're not. The rest of it's not mutter. So the azazel is mutter to do all this stuff.
What's not mutter?
What? No, he said, Akiva's asking, what are you saying? That it must be that Yom Kippur doesn't have any Isra Haitzah. Maybe they made a special exemption for the Azazel. That they carry that when Yom Kippur falls out. No, even without when Yom Kippur, you carry it out the Azazel, but not anything else. Right? I don't know. They would. I don't. Maybe they should have said that. Right? That there's a special dispensation for the Azazel. That's what I would think. But I don't know. I hear.
I'm saying, what's a bigger chiddush? Saying that Yom Kippur, even though we normally compare it to Shabbos, it doesn't have one of the malachas, or saying that the Azazel has a special dispensation. I would think that saying that Yom Kippur is different than Shabbos when it comes to one of the malachas is a bigger chiddush. Rafim totally disagrees. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I would think saying that Yom Kippur only has 38 malachas instead of 39 is a bigger chiddush.
Right. I hear. All right. That's right. I hear what you're saying. I don't know. I don't have a teretz for that. I think maybe that Akiva, these top taisis, is not saying what you're saying. I think maybe that's. I'm not. I think that's what you're asking. Anyways, okay. So let's see. So Et.
No,
right?
Yeah, it does seem like that. Yeah, I agree.
He said, "Why don't you just say it?" The Sheir Yom Kippur. I'm not sure what taisis meant, but right. So he said the Gemara in Krisis says that this whole question from Rafram is not really. I'm saying his statement doesn't really work. Basically, it's what yeah. So very good.
Is that what the Gemara Krisis is saying, or the Gemara Krisis is saying that Rafram meant something else? He doesn't mean that there's only 38 malachas. He means that you don't need a drasha to tell me this.
He's
if
saying
it's mutter on Yom Kippur, it's mutter on Shabbos.
Rafram is saying Rafram Bedusi.
That means that Rafram was joking, or that Rafram is not. That means that he's still saying something. He's saying that you don't need a pasuk, you don't need a drasha to tell me this. If it's mutter on Yom Kippur, then it's mutter on the same Shabbos.
I didn't look up the Gemara in Krisis, and I haven't learned Krisis in a long time.
But so. He means that it's not something that they were really good, like it's something that they're really good for this medrash, no?
Right. Yes, correct.
It's not a real member that they were good.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So it says iti even in Tuma. I found this in a mamish a bomb of a chiddush to me in this one. That if the person is supposed to send out the goat became tamei, nichnas tamei la'azara, he goes when he's tamei into the Beis Hamikdash u'mashalcha and he sends it out, right? Because Rashi says that the kohen has to give it to him directly. You can't. Why don't you just send somebody else into the Beis Hamikdash to get it? Why is this guy that's tamei coming into the Beis Hamikdash, right? So we say no, because he has to give. The kohen has to hand him the animal directly. So get another guy, right? It's not such an important avodah. Good, we had the pasuk that says you have to appoint him from the day before. Okay, but I'm saying for that reason, you're going to let somebody tamei come into the Beis Hamikdash? Okay, I don't understand it, but all right, that's what it is. Fine. Shalu es Rabbi Eliezer, right? This is the first story of a rabbi knowing how to skirt controversial questions. Is right here from this Gemara. Any rabbi who wants to, or anybody who wants to know how to get out of answering questions, take lessons from Rabbi Eliezer. Right? So Shalu es Rabbi Eliezer. If the animal got sick, so can you ride him? Literally means ride him on your shoulders. Can you carry him? The animal is so strong it can carry me and you. So what are you asking about a shvacha animal, right? Which we're going to see later. Eliezer had a Messiah. He said nothing on his own. Halavai by everybody. That should be like that, right? He never said anything on his. He never said anything on his own. Only what he learned from his Rebbe. So if somebody asked him a question, he would just get out of it. I guess he didn't want to say. Why didn't he just tell everybody? I don't know. I didn't hear it from my Rebbe. So I'm not sure why he couldn't just say that. But but that's what it was.
Unless this really is an answer. That in general, this animal is so strong that it can carry both of us. So the only option is that it's so sick that it can't do anything. Then we're talking about a Balmud.
Yeah, but he's not. That's not out there. He's not. He's avoiding the question.
But I mean, that kind of is a way to avoid it.
Okay, maybe. Okay. So, anyways, chala. What lost the place here? What happens if the person who was sending it out? What's his din? Can he use somebody else? Everybody's going to be at peace, right? We're never, meaning he's saying, Rashi says, we're never gonna. It's not gonna be negayah to us. We're never the ones that are gonna take it out the goat anyway. So what you asked, right? Let's say he pushed it off the mountain and it didn't die. Should he run down the mountain and kill it? So he said to them, right? All of your enemies should be lost. Yeah. Which is, what does that have to do with anything? Nothing. I mean, I'm sure it has something to do with it, but seemingly it doesn't. The Chacham said pshat. Chala markiva al ksefer. The Chacham said if it gets sick, you could put it on your shoulders. Chala mashalcha yishachena biyadacha. You could use somebody else if the person sending it out gets sick. If he pushes and it doesn't die, then you go after it and it dies. Even though we're going to see in tomorrow's daf that when it died before it even got halfway down the cliff, it split into pieces. So I don't know exactly what that question is.
Yaakov, it comes out that if somebody we allow a person that gets appointed and he becomes tamei to go into the Beis Hamikdash and be tamei the Beis Hamikdash. But if a guy gets sick, then we could go ahead and then let somebody else transfer. Why don't we? If the guy becomes tamei, why don't we just make the same change the same way we could do by a chayla? Why do we have to have somebody go in that's tamei and take the animal? Get somebody else to do it. The same way a chayla, if a guy becomes sick, you could just, change somebody else to do it. Why can't we do that same thing by tamei? Why are we letting a person go in to the Beis Hamikdash?
I was thinking about that kasha. I don't know.
See, it's a physical thing. If he has physical ability, it doesn't matter.
No, I understand, but why would you be the tamei the azar?
Saying for somebody who's tamei, you would
It's a drasha.
Good, but here's somebody who's sick.
He can't. What do you want to do? Cancel the whole thing?
So Tum also.
Cancel all the operations.
Tum also.
He can't physically do it.
Good, but it's a spiritual damage is also something. Okay, whatever it is. Let's go by it. It's getting late. Let's go by it. We can fight it after. Yeah? Fine. Shalom was Rabbi Eliezer. So then they asked Rabbi Eliezer, this Gemara right here is, I don't know what's going on. They asked him, is this guy going to go to Olam Haba? Right now, I don't know. They couldn't get an answer of halacha out of Rabbi Eliezer. What do they think they're going to get out of him now? Right? So they asked him, can this person, is he going to Olam Haba? Amar lei. So he said, Lo shaltuni ela ploini. Right? Maybe you're only asking me about somebody else. Fine. So he avoided that. What's the din? Can a roya, what do you call it? Shepherd save a sheep from a lion? He says, "Lo shatuni ela la kivsa." You only asked me about. Are you asking me only about the lamb? Fine. So they said, so they asked, what about saving the shepherd from the lion? You only asked me about the shepherd. Okay. Mamzer, what about a mamzer? Does he yarshin his father? Right? And what about yibum? Right? If he has a brother who dies without kids, does the mamzer do yibum? Ma'u lost it as beisoy. What's the din with, can you put plaster on your house because of the Churban Beis Hamikdash? Ma'u lost it as kivroi. Can you put the sid, the mud, on the kaver, like plaster the kaver? Right? So now the Gemara says, all this back and forth, that he wasn't giving straight answers is not because Mefligim B'dvarim wants to push them off because he didn't know the answer. He never said anything that he didn't hear from his Rebbeim. So since all these questions he never heard from his Rebbeim, so Mamela, he didn't answer. Right? But we still don't know why couldn't he just tell them that. Right? Okay. I'm sure some of them are first from saying anything. So a smart woman asked Rabbi Eliezer, that the Maisa Egel was the same, right? Everybody was the same. How come their punishments weren't the same? Right? Meaning some people died from they were killed. Some from a makkah, and some they choked. So Amar Lo, he told her, "Ein chachama leisha ela b'pelach." You gotta love this answer. A woman, the smartest thing for a woman to do is to sew. That's what pelach means. Pelach is a type of tool that you use for weaving. He said, that's not for women to, it's a, right? How is this for a contemporary exchange between an Amira and a woman? He didn't want to answer. He told her it's not for you. V'chein hu Aimer, and that's what the pasuk says. V'chol isha chachmas lei b'yadeh tovu. Any smart woman will use her hands to sew. Yeah. So fine. So Itmar. So that was another story of Eliezer. So Itmar, Rav and Levi had a Machlokes. Chad Amar, one said Zivach v'kita b'sayif, right? One said that those that were bowed down and
this from Eliezer, you're learning he was an Amira or a Tana?
Tana. I'm sorry, I said Amira.
Tana or Eliezer, no?
Yeah, Tana. I said Amira. I apologize. It's a Tana. Yeah. Those that actually bowed down, who were maktik tyrus, they died with the sword. Gofa fadishik, those that hugged it and kissed it, the egel, the misa, they just stam died. Samach b'vavai badraikun, and those that were just stam happy about it, they choked to death. That's one reason why they were different. This is to answer that lady's question. Those that did it with witnesses and were warned, which must have been coming from the kohanim and Leviim, because everybody else was doing it. Eidim beloy hasra b'misa, those that did without hasra, there was eidim, but they didn't warn them. They got misa loy eidim beloy hasra b'adrokim, and no eidim and no hasra was with choking. Fine. Amar Yehuda shifta shelevi le'avad avodas kechavim. The Shevet Levi did not do avodah zarah, didn't do this egel. Shenemar v'yamin Moshe b'shara machane. Right, and Moshe stood up in the gate, and he said, "Mila Hashem Elai," and the Leviim came to him. Right. So Yosef Ravina v'Karmel laHashmai. So Ravina sat and said this Gemara over. Esvei b'nei Rav Papa bar Abba Ravina, and the b'nei Rav Papa bar Abba asked Ravina, "Ha'imr la'Abba v'lima loy re'isiv." Right. So Moshe had said that they didn't see the father, they didn't look at the fathers and the mothers, and they didn't do it. Mashma that the fathers and the mothers of the Leviim were doing the egel, and the Leviim themselves didn't. So Gemara says, no, aviv avi imay miyisrael. What it means by father is it means his mother's father, who was a Yisrael, because they intermarried, right? A Levi married the granddaughter of a Yisrael, so that's what it was referring to. Achiv is achiv me'imay miyisrael. 1 second. His brother from his mother from Yisrael. And Banov, what does it mean, Banov? B'nei Beis Hamikdash means the grandchildren from his daughter who married a Yisrael. Right, so that's what it means. Meaning the actual real Leviim did not do the egel, but all their relatives did. What's the problem?
Wasn't that usher until after Kibbush v'chiluk to intermarry among the Shvatim?
I have no idea. I don't know.
It's Gemara in Tainus.
Yeah, it could be. But maybe this is before Matan Torah. They did it.
Even then, they weren't allowed to.
The
Shvatim only married among themselves until after Yeshua brought them in. That's Tu B'Av. That's the Gemara Tu B'Av.
I don't remember, but I don't know. Here. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I forgot to say. So Taisva says that whole shaklatari with Rabbi Eliezer, is he going to Olam Haba? Is it Ari? That's all referring to the story with David and Bathsheba. Did David really do something wrong by taking Bathsheba, etc.? You know that we had that Gemara in Shabbos. Fine. Okay, and they made a ramp. These were not the Bavliim. They were from Alexander. And with but because, right, who said it before? Rabbena, you said it, right? Because they hated the Bavliim, which we saw in previous Gemaras, that's why they called them they gave him a bad name. They were really Alexandria. They said they're Bavliim. These crazy people are Bavliim, right? Fine. So Tanya Rav Yehuda Loi Bavliim Hayu El Alexandrim Hayu. They weren't Bavliim, Alexandrim. Amalei Rav Yossi Tenuach Taitcha Shenachtas Taiti. Good, because Rav Yossi was from Bavel. So he says, Shh, Baruch Hashem. Now you thought that I'm come from crazy people. So now he gave him Yeshiva Das that they did not come from crazy people. Fine. Tolvet say, so they said, go take it and run. Tana. So we learned, yeah, Mashahit Tzvirodain. Why does this goat wait, Tzvirodain? The chayve dar sagiin, when the chayves of the dar, when the chiyuvim of the dar are so many, right? Why you hanging around? Just get out of here. That's what they were telling the person sending it out. Okay, let's stop over here. Fine. All right. Now, as Daf and go, relatively easy. These next after these next few blocks are relatively okay. All right. Good enough, everybody. Yeah.
The Gemara before, the Gemara was discussing Takala. Gemara said also Lagabi Ma'is. There's similar Takala. But didn't the Gemara come out that the whole issue of Takala is Takala because you might be tired with it and you might bring it as a carbon?
What?
The Gemara explained what does it mean Takala? That you're gonna be tired with it, you might bring it as a carbon. Correct?
Right.
Throughout the year. How is that similar when it comes to Ma'is?
No, what do you mean? No, it's not.
The Gemara says Ma'is also has. The Gemara worries about the color. No.
So the Ma'is was also that Machlokes.
It's telling the Machlokes of Takala, right?
Right.
But Takala pligi. So I'm wondering, how does that same svara of you're gonna be tired and bringing it, you might bring it as a different type of carbon, apply to Ma'is? How is it parallel in terms of that svara?
How does it apply?
How do you apply the exact same svara when it comes to Ma'is and Pesach? You set aside for carbon Pesach. That you're going to go ahead and you're going to bring it. You're going to bring a different carbon with it.
No,
why
you're going to end up using
the same way.
No, you'll end up using the money. No.
Yeah, if anything, it's worse by money.
You're going to end up using the money.
Any use of money is finishing it off. Right? The Gemara handled two ways the color could be, either hakrava or giza. The Gemara says, no, it's not giza. It must be a real, complete use of it, hakrava. Ma'is is also, anytime you use the money, it's complete use. It's gone.
But isn't the story because he's going to look at an animal and see them as a carbon? Isn't that the whole svara? The Gemara goes back and forth. The Gemara comes out that the whole reason we're worried is because you see the animal and you say, oh, that's a basak rubber. That's an animal I could bring as a carbon. You don't say the same type of svara when it comes to money. It's not something you look and you automatically say, oh, I'm going to bring a carbon with it. It's not the exact same svara. The Gemara is saying an animal, you're tired with it, that you're going to go, it's a specific svara when it comes to an animal that you're going to go and you're going to say, oh, it's a basak rubber. I'm going to go and bring it to something else. I don't know if the exact same svara could apply. Maybe it does. Maybe you look at money that way also. The Gemara says half the basak ravi tired by. You're gonna be tired in it. That's specific to an animal because the basak rava.
No, but I understand. Why is it not a chashash that they're gonna move?
Because then you could apply that chashash to anything that you're mekadesh. Right? The Gemara had to be very specific when the Gemara said that mishum takala, because the Gemara said there are other kabbanas also we should be chayshid. Gemara says no, these are animals that are oimid to be brought. Because the basak ravi, you're saying money is looked at the same way. You're gonna look at it and say, oh, that money's oimid to be brought.
Yeah, I kind of had the inverse of your kasha, Akiva. And the tarid and light tarid. I didn't understand. The inverse of your question is on the svara itself. What is the tarid and light tarid?
Where you going?
I would have said fakir. If it's a basakrava and tarid luhu, why would I kill it? He's always worried about cactus. We're not worried about him doing anything. But if it's lav basakrava, he'll have hasachadas and then he'll use it. Why are we scared of that?
So Rashi does say a scarf.
It's like a sticker.
He kind of does, but I don't really understand that either.
So which Vika doesn't fit with money. The whole money thing doesn't
Whatever
fit.
it is, eat it.
The mamish goes against the Gemara at the end. I don't know how the two stem, that Rashi and the Gemara later on.
Right.
I don't know. That Rashi definitely does not work with the Gemara at the end. At least in the simple explanation of Rashi.
Yeah, it has to somehow. But yeah.
I don't know.
I hear you.
Also,
All right.
see,
I gotta go shopping. Yeah, Zag.
Wait, I was trying to
Yeah.
The Gemara on Amud Beis, right, said that even according to Reb Nosson, a chayla is not considered chaynos yasatzmai. Yeah.
Right.
Why isn't that in Hilchas Nida by Harchakis with a 6-month-old baby? There's a machlokes hapaiskim whether you can pass from one to the other, even though it can't walk. It still could be chaynos yasatzmai. Why isn't nobody straight out of Gemara not like that?
Right? Is he here yet? Simcha, is Mayor here yet?
No.
Go tell him. Let's go. Tell him to bring up the
I
car.
think he's coming.
You think or you know?
I think.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
In Gemara Shabbos, I thought that was the pashtus in chaynos yasatzmai.